we still have a problem. There are ideas we are not familiar with, ideas we do not really live with, ideas we do not spend a lot of time, a lot of energy with. These are the impossible ideas. So the main question is, how can we make an impossible ideas possible? And what I call the methodology we could build in order to tackle this impossible situation or impossible ideas is hyper-creativity. So it is for the one who represents the creative process as two triangles. I also believe it's time to challenge the two triangles. We are in the second triangle. And I believe that hyper-creativity begins at the very beginning of the first triangle. Hyper-creativity begins with a hyper-question. I used to say that in the question, you find already the solution. In fact, the question is the frame of reference. It is the question that gives you the authorization to where you can or you may go. And of course, if you want to produce, after having your incredible question, you have to use radical techniques. And I think we will have more and more to think wrong, to take the totally opposite solution of what is logical, of what is rational. And I have a proposition to make to you for that phenomenon. It could be obviosity, the obviosity. With the first definition, it's not definitive. It's just a proposal. And I'd like you to challenge me. It is the natural tendency of the human being to choose, to go, to rush for the most obvious, easiest, and comfortable ideas into what we believe are creative solutions. I have read almost 1,000 times that the convergence is the rational, the logical, the practical, the down-to-us part of the creative process. I believe this is not true. It is not true. It is where you have to invent the connection between something that is not real and the constraints of a reality. It is the moment you have to change the constraints, the moment you have to be creative with the way to change the perception of the situation, of the constraints, and all the rest. My 3 words for hyperconvergence is bring emotion, bring aesthetic, and bring excitement. And now it's time to invent hyperconvergence rules. We have the Q rule, the dragon or the dragon's rules, and the Kreashok. Our first rule is go for quantity. Go for quantity. It's well written, yes. Go for quantity. The dragons is a symbol of humility. I don't know. I don't know the value of that idea. And the third one is to look for the Kreashok. The great attitude to have in front of new ideas, in front of post-its, in front of prototypes, is the emotional engagement it creates. Do you feel an excitement about that idea? Is there something living in you? I think we first have to learn to adopt new criteria. We have all together to invent that criteria if we want to tackle the Z opportunities. And I have here a set of them. And I propose to you the INSA, the ID non-sensitive areas. To go and to say there are good ideas among the production. And what are the good ideas that are not relevant or that seems not to be relevant? And then we will investigate what is the value of movement. Leave what works immediately. Stop rushing for the evidence. Leave the obviousity. And then you have the yellow IDs. And yellow IDs is an impossible dream. It is no box. You invent a new box. Or a sphere, even better. It's not a box, it's a sphere. First, look actively for exciting yellow IDs. Have a notebook, a yellow notebook. Collect the yellow IDs, yours and the yellow IDs from others. That's a condition if you want to learn to live with them. You must have a collection. They must be your friends. Secondly, live passionately with yours. In conclusion, I think that it's time for hypercreativity. Thanks, Mr. Osborne. Thanks, De Bono. Thanks, Sidney Parnes. Thanks, the generation of the 20th century. We are here to help people to solve the challenge of the 21st century. And it will be a hyper century. We have to provide governments, companies, associations, our families, our children, teachers, hyper methodology, and especially in the hyper convergence, because we are the mankind is suffer from obviousty.